Hello friends, welcome to Squared Plans. I'm Stephanie and today we're going to be setting up our Faith Bullet Journal planners for the month of June. And I've got these mild liners here ready to go, as well as these twine markers that I may use, this fine liner in black, these washi tapes as well, this blending brush, these ink pads, these wooden stamps, and these clear stamps from Cocoa Daisy. Okay, so let's jump in. I have already penciled in the design for this month, and I almost forgot to mention my brush pen that I'll be using here on the front as well. So I really wanted to do more stamping in my bullet journal this month. It's something I've been really wanting to get more comfortable with since I really love the idea of using stamps in my planner and in my journal. But it's been an uphill battle just because I'm very unfamiliar with techniques and how to use stamps. So just been watching a lot of stuff on Instagram and trying to pick up ideas and skills that might help stamping go a little better for me. So this month I decided to use these wooden stamps that I recently picked up at Michael's. They were found in their dollar area, kind of near the cash registers and their bins. So they were really cheap. I think maybe a set was $2 each, and I got two sets of different types. And they had different ones as well, not just the ones I'm showing here. There's probably like 5 or 6 other varieties. So I have some florals that I've stamped in there in the yellow. That yellow ink is a Versa ink that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. That ink is a very fast drying ink and is really great for thinner papers, which is really important. Something I'm learning as I go is that certain inks take longer to dry and also may or may not bleed through thinner paper. So the Versa ink, I can say for a fact, does not bleed and has been really great for stamping so far. Same with that Ranger ink I used for the black florals there. Those came from Cocoa Daisy. I got that set back in February or maybe even January and used them for my February monthly in my Faith, which was a lot less comfortable than I feel like I am now with the stamps back then. So it was a little bit rough, but I got through it. I think this month went way better as far as stamping, and I'm just getting the hang of how to mix and match stamps and color and the different ways to stamp. So those are the two colors I just mentioned there and the types of stamps. The other color I used is a gray distressed oxide ink from Tim Holtz, and that is also a very light paper friendly ink. I got it in a gray, I think that's pumice stone is the color. So all of the stuff that I'm using will be in the description below if you're looking for anything particular, but I thought I'd mention it in case you didn't know what some of these things were that I was using. I also have laid down some black washi tape. That is MT washi tape, which I love, and I use that throughout my Faith bullet journal for the whole year of 2022. It just helps create a nice cohesive feel to all the different months, even though each one has a different theme going on. So I'm using that as kind of my base for the year, and then I also have pinned in a verse for the theme, which I like to match my verse up with the theme as I go each month. So I look for something that kind of matches up with what I'm going to do. And since this month is bee related, I found a verse about honey and thought that that would work well for the month. I've also pinned in using that Tombow Funosuke brush pen I brought out at the end there, and then I also have my Pigma Micron fine tip marker in a 0.5 or 0.5 tip. A little bit thicker than what I normally use for my lettering, but I liked the thicker line for drawing in the structural items for the spread. laid in some washi tape as well. Those were from various vendors, but again, I will find which ones they are and link it below in the description if you like any one of those in particular, or the closest I can find. Now I'm just drawing in some texture with that same Pigma Micron marker, as well as a cute little bee line. Finally, I will go back with my white opaque pen, do some cleanup there, and I had used that same pen to write the word June on top of the washi tape. And that page is pretty much ready to go. I will set that to the side just to make sure everything is nice and dry before I flip it over. And we will move on to page 3 of my month. And here I decided to do something a little different this month. In the beginning of the year, I was using this page for writing in gratitude. So I did that for a couple of months in the beginning of the year, just like one gratitude idea for each day. And then I skipped over to the takeaway, which was basically a 1 or 2 line summary of what I had read in my daily reading from the Bible, and then just kind of summarizing it for something that I could use in my daily life for the day to kind of like think on and reflect on. And then last month I did a self-care, spiritual self-care challenge, which was really good. But I didn't want to do that again this month, so I decided to find a scripture reading challenge type thing on Pinterest, which is where I find a lot of ideas, and brought that in for the month. The one I found is different scriptures themed around being positive. And I thought that would be really cute, the be positive theme, to actually write it as B-E-E instead of just B-E and tie it all in. So if you saw that the screen kind of faded there for a second, I did lose a little bit of time here in the filming. It was not that much here, it was just maybe like 10-15 seconds worth, but later I lose a lot of time, and I don't know what was going on. I think I was just so concentrated on making these stamps and making it all look really good that I just lost my normal routine and lost track of what I was doing on the technical side of things. What I ended up losing, like I said, it was closer to like 10 minutes later down the road. I'm really sorry about that, but the processes I'm using pretty much are the same throughout each one. The pages are just laid out a little bit differently, but I'm stamping in the very same way, layering the color the same way, and then adding in the washi tape on top and the hexagons and what have you. So for this, like I said, I had a scripture reading list that I was following. So I wrote in all of the verses to read, and then what I'm doing now is just pinning in the day number next to them in yellow using my twine marker there. As I go through the month, I will pin in the verse as I read it, so I know that I've read that verse for the day, and that'll be the way I keep track. So that page is pretty much set up. We will go back over to this page here, and I'm just dipping that blending brush I showed earlier into the ink pad just a smidge, and then basically smushing it out there on the page as a background ink. Layering those stamps over it, starting with the yellows first, then the grays, and then the black, so that there's not any pickup of that dark black color on the lighter colors. That's what I was always kind of concerned about. So I'm layering lighter to darker as I go from the bottom up. I did show this earlier, but I forgot to mention it. So for these hexagons, I did not have a stencil or anything to use, so I just kind of made one up. I do that a lot when I don't want to buy something specific for just a single theme. And for this case, what I did was took a Post-it note and folded it in half and then kind of estimated the sizing of the sides. I started out with like I think 1 inch on a standard 3-inch Post-it note, and I think that was a little too small, so I ended up going to 1.5-inch segments. So each side is about 1.5 inch. That seemed to work pretty well. That is what I used here for these bigger boxes, and I've already highlighted them in the mild liner or traced them out. This page, if I haven't mentioned this already, which I don't think I have, is my prayer list page. This is page 2 of my monthly set. And here I like to divide it up into categories, so as I pray I know, just what category I'm praying for. I have friends, family, people, and myself. People being just people outside my normal sphere of influence, but that I want to be praying for, like leaders or for the war in Ukraine, things like that, so that there is just a place for those groups of people that I want to be praying for. Mass shootings that have been happening, it's just a lot of tragedy lately, so I have all of those kind of things on my prayer list daily. Every little bit helps, I think, in the long run. So I've also decided to outline these larger hexagons, and now I am layering in some washi tape again. I'm not real sure about the placement of it. I do want to have very similar looks to each of the pages, so I will be using the same washi tape layering, the same stamps, the same B, hexagons, colors. There's just a little bit awkward where I have it placed right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it there as is or make some adjustments. I also decided to add just a smidgen of texture using my fine liner there, and just drew some really free-form, almost like dots, floating away from the main center of florals. And I'm still not in love with the washi tape placement, but for now I think that is better than where it was. We will move on to the center kind of weekly spread for the first week. And as you can see, I've already pinned in those hexagons. This is the place where we lose a lot of time, so you're not going to see much of this setup, but we'll just see how much I get done before time elapses. Process is very similar. I do have that scrap piece of paper there to catch anything that falls off the edge where I'm stamping, and just alternating between the stamps as I go. I left those 2 black florals together on that one clear stamp because I only have 2 of those small clear blocks. If I keep, getting into stamping, I'll probably need to buy some more blocks for stamps, but when you don't have it, I always try to make do. So that's what I'm doing here. And I decided to add a little bit more overlay of some of those stamps just to fill in the gaps a bit on the floral cluster there. So this is going to take me a minute. I'm going to try to erase the pencil lines quite a bit so that I can trace it out in the yellow and not have too many strong pencil lines show through. On these, I actually took that hexagon stencil I made from the Post-it note and expanded it a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 of an inch on each side to make these slightly bigger. I just wanted a little extra room because this is where I will be putting in my verses of the day. And like I said, I lost a lot of that spread, but you will see how it came out in the very end. I was really sorry about that. It's like, this took me a little bit to do. I mean, not too long, but I think all in total, I worked on this for maybe about an hour and a half to do all of these pages. So it was a little bit long, or closer maybe to 2 hours. That said, I'm really happy with the way it came out. I'm glad I spent the time, and I will be doing the rest of those weeklies as the month goes through. So those will all be kind of built off this same theme, but probably have some differentiation between them. Do check out my monthly flip through videos. I've been doing them live, so it's really great. You can ask questions and chat with me live if you make it on time, and if not, you can always just watch it after the fact. But check those out if you want to see how the whole month came out after the pen, how I used it. I think those videos personally are more valuable to me as a planner, to see how people actually use their decorated planners versus just seeing the decoration. Seeing the decoration is great for ideas, but I do love to see how they're actually planning around those decorations. I think that is very valuable. So again, I do one each month and show how all of these spreads turned out. So if you're interested, do come back, and I'll talk you guys through any kind of nuances that happen through the month and give you all the deets on what worked, what didn't, what I struggled with, or what was really great, and give you all the information that you may ever want. So this back page that I am setting up now, this is my kind of tracker of what I read in my daily readings. Usually I do it in a very standard monthly format with, 7 days across and however many days, going down 4 or 5 for the month. But this month I decided to try something different, just do like this honeycomb idea, take it to the next level. So I did use the stencil I made for the very front page, kind of like a small skinny hexagon, and use that to build this guy out. I also pinned in small numbers there in the corners of each of the hexagons, so I would know which day I was tracking in which hexagon. And here I will write in the actual chapter and verse that I read from my daily reading. I use an app called YouVersion to read my Bible through each year, and so I'm just following that plan each day, and it's just nice to see, where I'm at chapter-wise, because the plans a lot of times will jump around from Old Testament to New Testament. Just nice to see it all in one place and kind of see what I went through for the month. So I penned those all in with my fine liner, added in the texture. I'll go ahead and add in some washi tape here as well, again just for that consistency. On this one, I didn't start off with the yellow because I wasn't sure if I was going to add in the yellow on this, but I decided after I got everything in, it did need more kind of yellow color, I felt, just to bring it to life. I'm just going to do a hard erase of all of the pencil marks so it's nice and clean, and then I decided I was going to clean up the edges first, then pen in with my mild liner in between the lines instead of over the hexagons, kind of in between, so it looked like the walls of a honeycomb more so than me just outlining hexagons, if that makes sense. Here you can kind of see what I mean by that. And at first I wasn't sure if I was going to do the outside edges, just maybe stick with the inside edges. But as I went through, I think I made a mistake and traced one on the outside, and then it was like, oh yeah, guess we're going to do the outside too. So we just did it, and I think that was good actually. I think it was a better look having it completely surrounded by the yellow as well. So I'm just going to finish up with that. And I will also jump to the first page, add in a bit more yellow to that page as well. I just didn't really like how it came out because they were so separated on the front page, and I wanted it to be a little bit bolder. So I'm just going to clean that up. And then once I am done with that and get it how I like it, we will be done, friends. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Go ahead and leave me a comment too if you'd like to get in touch. And think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more of my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye!